Hi, everybody. My name is Jenny Harkleroad. I am the owner of Balanced You, and I'm very excited today to share with you a dear friend and mentor of mine, Dr. Warren Jacobs. We met each other when I was in chronic pain and could not even sit in a chair. And thanks to this wonderful man and his knowledge, I was able to transform myself and create a pain-free life. And from that, became obsessed with the power of the mind and self-discovery and self-healing and understanding. And I wanted to interview Warren today, Dr. Jacobs, and let him share a little bit about what he's learned in these many years as a medical doctor do you call yourself an emotional kinesiologist, or what do you call yourself in addition to a medical doctor?
I practice what I call integrative medicine. And one of the main tools is applied kinesiology.
Awesome. Awesome. So can you tell us how you got started in this process? You were a medical doctor, and then what happened? What did you discover?
Well, I graduated, had a good Western medical training, got into practice, and was immediately very busy. But I got very frustrated because with patients with acute problems, a broken leg or a sore throat or pneumonia, I would apply treatment and they got well in a hurry, and that was very satisfying. But with chronic problems like arthritis, headaches, inflammatory bowel disease, I wasn't very successful. Despite all the treatments and investigations I did, and even when I called in specialists, these people, most of them, their illness just hung on and hung on. And that was very distressing to me. I felt really humbled and frustrated. So I explored other ways to kind of treat this, and stumbled on a chiropractor, John Thie, and he had a system called Touch for Health. I couldn't believe it, but it worked. It didn't seem scientific to me. Anyhow, over many years, I studied this system for 8 years, read books on Oriental medicine and one thing and another. But it was so unscientific, I couldn't really use it in my practice until one day a patient came in with a frozen shoulder, miserable. And I did all the traditional things. I put cortisone in her bursa and her shoulder, and oddly enough, it didn't work. So I said to her, Pauline, do you know anything about Oriental medicine? She said, anything, doctor. Well, make a long story short, I got out the book, didn't really know what I was doing, tapped here, pressed there, traced this meridian, that meridian. And I said, Pauline, see if you can raise your, and she was immediately better. And it just frightened me. It startled me. And after that, I started to use this method with things that traditional medicine didn't do a very good job on. Migraine, headaches, arthritis, the chronic bowel disease. And I won't say in every case it worked, but in every case it helped. And in some cases, it was immediate. I couldn't believe it. Or just in a few visits. So I got more and more involved in this. And that's how I got into this. That was back about 1974.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big leap of faith, going from your standard traditional Western medicine to some more non-traditional methods to help patients.
It wasn't easy because at that time, there was no scientific basis for it. And I was trained in science. It was hard for me, but I could not deny that it worked.
I love that. So how often did you use that method with your patients? Did it just
Well,
become more and more over time?
yeah, yeah, with the chronic trouble, it more and more. And it was very satisfying to me to suddenly be able to help people I could never help before.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know that now you do a lot of really self-discovery, I think would be a good explanation with muscle testing. And was that part of your process back then, or was it a little more of the tracing meridians and those things?
No, really. I developed the system I use from what I learned from patients, from what worked. And I
Yeah.
changed a few things, and it's really developed over all these years. I taught it for many years in Europe in about 8 or 9 different countries. And there were some medical doctors that attended. I remember in Madrid, there was a orthopedic surgeon in my class, in the workshop, and he was so successful with these methods in applied kinesiology that he didn't go to the operating room anymore.
Wow.
He just took the patients from other orthopedic surgeons that were non-unions or people that didn't heal, and he would work with them with this other method, and he was busy doing that.
That's
So
amazing. Yeah.
it fascinated me, I'll tell you. And
Yeah.
I tried more and more to understand how it worked. And fortunately, over the years, there has been scientific proof which showed that there really are meridians in the body.
Mm-hmm.
So now there's some scientific basis for it, but when I started, there really wasn't.
So I know right now, I've heard in the US that we spend $40 billion a year on chronic pain, which is more than they say cardiovascular disease and cancer and diabetes combined. So what is going on? Why is there so much chronic pain out there?
Well, I think it's because in the medical schools, the doctors are not trained in all the different modalities that are available. It's coming in slowly. There are about 30 medical schools in the United States that do have departments of integrative medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I call what I do, integrative medicine, where modalities in addition to drugs and surgery are used to diagnose and help people. So it's coming, but it's too slow.
Yeah.
It's
So
unfortunate.
when somebody's in chronic pain, like myself, for example, when I came to see you, I mean, I couldn't even sit down, right? I was in pretty
Right,
bad
I
shape.
remember that, yeah.
And you, for the people who don't know what you do at all, you use a process of muscle testing to determine what's going on, right? To figure out why are you in pain? And I remember when I was working with you, I was quite surprised at the answer that my system came up with and the muscle test showed, which was it was emotional pain. Because I brought you my stack of medical files and it was my back. I thought it was all physical. So a lot of people start to say, oh, there is some mind-body connection. But what I've realized is that I don't see, there's no disconnection. It's like a plate of spaghetti. I feel like it's all wrapped into one where there's emotional pain, there's physical pain. Does that seem accurate to you?
Well, I see the way you look at it. I perhaps look at it a little differently. I think with any chronic illness, there is always a strong emotional component. Now, it's fine to see the physiotherapist. It's fine to put plates and screws and get a fracture to heal properly. But there's more to it than that. And we are not machines. We are thinking, feeling, spiritual beings. And this is just another way to help people and use a tool which allows us to get into the emotions. Now, with nearly all of us, we don't allow everything we experience to reach the conscious part of our brain. For this or that reason, we suppress some of our thoughts and feelings. And oftentimes, the answer is in that area. And the muscle testing is just a method to access that information that we blocked from our conscious mind. And in chronic disease, that can make the big difference. It isn't that myself as the doctor has the answer to the patient. The patient has the pain and the problem and the answer, only it's not in that part of his body that is conscious. And all I do is bring a method which allows that person, if they're willing and courageous enough, as you were, to connect with what they've been repressing inside. And once they do that, that opens the possibility for healing to take place. It isn't that I'm healing. I didn't heal you. You healed yourself because you had the courage to face what you previously had held down and kept away from your conscious mind. Now, not every patient's willing to do that. This is not a method for everybody. It takes a person who's really courageous and open.
I think in my case, it was more desperate.
Oh, it helps. It helps to be desperate. A famous psychologist once said that therapy works best when we're in real heavy pain.
Yeah.
That's the motivation.
Right.
Yeah. And you were very frustrated because your life was upside down and you didn't like that.
No, I didn't. Not at all.
But not everybody's willing to do that. You need the right patient.
Yeah. So why do we block our subconscious? Do we actually consciously block it, or is that just how we're built that the message doesn't come up?
It's more how we're trained.
Okay.
We come into this world. Why are infants so charming? Because everything they're feeling is so apparent.
Yeah.
It's obvious. Their body language, everything says it. But as we socialize this little child, as we train this child to be polite, they learn to suppress certain feelings. Of course, some of that is necessary in order to get along in this world, but some of it makes for big problems in life. And for a child to acknowledge that they're very angry with their mother when they don't get a cookie when they want it. Some kids will say, "I hate you, Mom." You know, in a way, that's a healthy child. But in some cultures, that is not allowed. Maybe that's a simple explanation, but you think about that a little bit. That's where it comes from. We learn and we're trained in a way to repress a lot of our feelings. And so that's how I believe it starts.
So was it always that way? I mean, was there an epidemic of chronic pain in the past? Or is this something that we're doing more and more today?
Well, I think part of it today is that in chronic conditions, there are 3 essentials for healing to take place. One is a proper diet, a healthy diet. Eat the right foods. Number 2 is activity. You got to move. The body works best when it moves every day. And the third thing is to acknowledge and accept all of our feelings. When we accept our feelings, it doesn't mean we have to carry them out. If we're angry with somebody, we don't have to stab them. We can find other ways healthy ways to deal with our anger.
Yeah.
But if we do these 3 things, pain will be reduced in our life and healing will be improved. Famous cardiologist said Most of his heart patients, if they just learn to exercise daily, eat properly, and handle their emotions better, heart disease would fade from the scene.
Absolutely, I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, those are some great tips. And we know that we should eat right and we know that we should exercise. So why don't we do those two things?
Well, so many people today have good education. They're raised in a nice family. They go to work and they sit in a little cubicle, not connected to any person in a feeling way at a computer for 8 hours a day. That that's just not healthy. Not healthy. And they just put in that time so that they can gain some income and maybe on the weekend enjoy themselves. Well, that's not a healthy way to live. You need to do what you love and love what you do. And I think each person, if they can find that, that would make life much better and they would be healthier.
I remember when we were having that conversation about me, I was trying to figure out what do I love? And at the time I was selling real estate, and I remember you were pressing on my arm for the muscle test, trying to figure out what I would like to do. And I guessed a lot of different things. I had just written a book on health, so I thought maybe I wanted to teach people about health. I wasn't sure, and I remember I finally said, I don't know. I can't figure it out. I want to do what you do. And the muscle test held strong. And I remember being surprised, but then as time went on, thinking, what a blessing to be able to help people to do what you're talking about, to get in touch with who they are and how they feel and what their purpose and passion is.
You say what a blessing, but it's not just a blessing for the patient. That energy goes both ways. I am blessed as well as you. I'm so glad I met you and I had this experience with you. And you feel good about it, but I feel just as good as you do about it. That's what makes it work so well.
Yeah.
So many people do work that they hate. Many of them are doctors. They hate it, but they do it.
Yeah.
They never found what they really love to do. Or maybe they just weren't trained in a way where they could get joy out of their work. I'm almost 90 years old and I'm not retiring because I love this work. It's exciting to me, it's interesting, and it energizes me just as much as it energized you to be the patient.
Yes, I love that. So a little shameless plug, if somebody wants to get a hold of you and talk to them about, talk to you about their issues, what they're struggling with in their life, are you still taking new patients? Are you willing to give out your phone number?
Sure.
All right. And you're in San Diego and you work out of your office there. You don't work remotely, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So how do people find you?
They just call me on the phone.
And you answer.
Yes.
It surprised me the first time. I was like, what do you mean it's you?
Yeah.
The doctor, he answered his phone. What is going on right now?
Why not?
Perfect. So what's your phone number? Can we share that?
Sure. Phone number is 760-672-3011.
Awesome. Would you mind repeating it one more time?
Yeah, 760-672-3011.
Awesome. And one thing that is amazing is you take insurance for some cases, right? Because you are a licensed medical doctor.
That's
and you
right.
can bill insurance. So some of the rest of us that are in this practice don't have any type of medical degrees, and we don't have that option. So that's an extra blessing. They have all your years of wisdom, and you can bill insurance.
Did you know that in Switzerland, they just passed the law that if you do applied kinesiology and can prove you have education and experience in that, people can come to you and insurance will pay for the visits. And everybody in Switzerland has health insurance.
That's
This is the
amazing.
only industrialized country in the world that doesn't have health insurance for everyone.
Yeah. So let's give one last tip. If somebody is unhappy in their life, struggling, can't figure out how to be happy, how to feel better, what do they do? What's the first step?
Well, they have to stop blaming society or this person or that person and be willing to look what their part is in their illness. And they have to be willing to know themselves better. I think all I really do with people, I don't fix them, I don't cure them, I don't heal them. I help them to know themselves better. The part that's conscious and the part that for some reason they've been holding below their level of consciousness. And with that information, they seem to improve their lives, and many heal in a very short time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's especially amazing when somebody like me has been through surgeries and so many doctors and so many methods. And to tell me that knowing myself would get rid of my pain seemed absurd at first, but then it worked. Wasn't so absurd after that.
Yeah.
Amazingly powerful. It's not the standard thing we learn growing up.
Well, we are all amazingly powerful individuals. We just don't know that. And when we continue to blame our boss or our spouse or our children or society and don't look inside ourselves to see our part, then we're stuck.
Yeah.
Stuck.
What about somebody who does the opposite? What if they blame themselves for everything?
Oh,
I have met a few of those. What do you do with that?
well, I see if we can understand why they do that.
Yeah.
Is it a payoff of some kind? Did they learn to treat themselves that way? Where did that come from? Because that's not natural. That's not natural.
Yeah. And how does the knowing, the new information, cause pain relief, happiness, healing? What actually happens?
What actually happens? The energies of the body change in a way. They go to different areas. You don't mean to send a spasm in your neck every time you're angry with your mother. You don't mean to do that. You don't want to do that. But that's the way you've worked it out because you don't want to deal with the fact that you are angry with your mother. Somehow, in that individual, it's not okay to be angry with mother. It's either too dangerous, or they don't have that right, or there's some consequence of that they're afraid of. I look upon the symptoms that the person has as an unhealthy solution to their life problem.
Yeah.
And to get it to dissipate is for them to acknowledge what the problem is and to find a healthier solution to the problem. It isn't that they're wrong. It's the way they're handling it is unhealthy. Does that make sense to you?
Well, it does, because I experienced it with you for myself. I remember one time, we were having a discussion and the discussion was the pain was turning up and I was like having a hard time because of the pain. And you said, stop doing that to yourself. And I was like, I'm not. And you said, no, you are. And it's such a hard concept to grasp at first.
It is difficult to believe that a person would do that to themselves, but there are many thoughts and feelings we're just so uncomfortable with that we find some way to block them. And one way is to tighten up certain muscles. And if you have muscles tightened over a joint in your neck, and that you keep that there for hours, those muscles are in spasm, of course it's going to hurt.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's hard to believe that you're doing that to yourself. Let that thought or feeling out other way. And right there in that moment, the pain is reduced. Well, you have to accept it.
Right. I love that. Well, thank you for being on this call today and sharing some tidbits of wisdom with us. You've changed more lives than I could even imagine. And the ripple effect from your work just goes on and on. I'm so grateful that I met you and I've been able to heal myself because of what you've taught me and help others transform. What a huge blessing it's been. So I love you. I'm so thankful for you. And I'm going to come sit under your tree with you. And so we can hang out and tell more stories.
Okay.
Awesome.
Good luck to you.
All right.
It feels great. I'm glad I met you. Thanks for coming. You made my life better.
Oh, thank you, Warren. I'm going to turn off the video now and we'll chat for one more second.
Okay.